Hello there, Jason here again. As I had mentioned in my previous video on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, in order for me to truly articulate my feelings, I was going to have to spoil the movie, so here's the spoiler review. Normally I try to keep things very spoiler light. I can articulate my feelings pretty well without spoiling the film. I can be as very vague as possible, but this time I just decided, no, I need to spoil it completely. I don't know whether or not this will be the norm or the exception. Kind of trying to suss that out still in its infancy here on my YouTube channel, but we'll see. If you haven't seen my previous video, please stop this video and go over to that video and watch that video first. Then you can come back to this video, because in that video I really kind of talk about just things, aspects of the film that I like. This video I'm going to talk specifics. If you haven't seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, please stop this video, go see the movie, and then come back, not to this video, but to my previous video, and then back to this video. So you can get my full analysis of the film as a whole. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into this. Now, there's so much going on in this movie. I do have some notes here that I'm going to have to consult, so it might be a little messy. Just bear with me. So let's get started. First of all, the marketing of this movie does not prepare you for this movie. It's very much, I wouldn't say it's a different film than what is advertised, but the film is presented differently than what is advertised. I'll give you an example here. This is the official synopsis released by Marvel Studios and Disney. So here it is. Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens a portal to the multiverse. However, a threat emerges that may be too big for his team to handle. Now, based on that synopsis alone, you would automatically assume that this film is a consequence to the events of Spider-Man No Way Home and what he does in that film. That is not the case. Spider-Man No Way Home is more of an example of brushes he's had with the multiverse in the past to kind of prepare him for this film. This film is not a direct result of what happened in that movie. Just to make that clear. And you'll understand why as I get into the plot of the film. So I'm going to go ahead and, start to finish, really break this film down. The film begins with America Chavez and an alternate version of Doctor Strange, which is known on the internet as Defender Strange, are traveling through a void to this central point, which is like an altar of sorts, which carries the Book of Fashanti, a magical tome that gives sorcerers exactly what they need in order to defeat the forces of evil. As they're going through this void, they're being chased by some mythical creature, a mystical demon. And so as they're trying to escape, get to the book and escape this thing, that Doctor Strange realizes the only way to keep this creature from getting America's power is by taking it himself. And her power, as we find out, kind of early on in the film, is the ability to travel through the multiverse. Now, at this point, she can't control it, so it's very accidental, her trips through the multiverse. So because of that, Doctor Strange believes that that's the only way to keep this power from falling into the wrong hands. In the process of trying to take her power, which would kill her, by the way, he himself is killed by the demon, and America, as she's about to be captured by this creature, accidentally, reflexively opens a portal to another universe. That universe is known as 616, which is the universe where, as established in Spider-Man Far From Home, the Marvel Cinematic Universe takes place, which has always infamously been where the main Marvel canon takes place, 616. We then pick up with our Doctor Strange, who has woken up from what he believes is a dream, but what we discover later on, actually early on in the film, is that our dreams are actually our way of looking into the multiverse. So when we dream, we're seeing through the eyes of ourselves from a different parallel universe. So any crazy dream that you have ever had with yourself more than likely exists somewhere in the vast, infinite multiverse. When Doctor Strange wakes up, he gets ready and goes to the wedding of Christine Palmer, his ex-fiance, or the love of his life. Now, she's marrying someone else because, as she puts it, he always has to be the one holding the knife, which means he always has to be the one to save the day, and his ego always kind of, gets the better of him at times, and she's both admires that and is infuriated by that, but because of that she can't marry him, and he decides that in order to protect her he can't marry her, but he clearly still is in love with her and is grappling with his feelings about that throughout the remainder of the film. The reception is interrupted by an attack from an octopus demon creature who is trying to capture America, and Doctor Strange goes in to defeat the demon and save her. He is assisted by Wong, who kicks ass as he always does. After the two of them defeat the demon, they discover America tells them that she's from a different universe and that she knows Strange from a different universe, and she takes them to the corpse of the alternate Doctor Strange because he has this vague sense that he knows her because, again, he dreamed about her, which was actually the memory of that previous Doctor Strange. So after that, it's like, oh, the multiverse is a vast and infinite thing. This creature was trying to capture me. Do you remember any sort of details about this creature and, your dream and everything? There are magical runes covering both the first monster and the second monster. So Doctor Strange immediately thinks of witchcraft, which makes him think of someone who knows witchcraft, which leads him to Wanda Maximoff, who has been living peacefully in an orchard that she has grown on her own. Now, Wanda is having dreams about her sons, Billy and Tommy, that we know from WandaVision. Now, if you know anything about that series, she went to the town of Westview, and out of anger and grief over the loss of her one true love, Vision, her powers spontaneously exploded and took control of this entire town and turned it into a wacky sitcom town where the residents were held hostage by her mental projections and her images. And she also has this ability to warp reality around her, where in that series, she not only recreates a very realistic version of Vision, she also manifests her children, twins, Billy and Tommy. But because she's tethered them to this fantasy, and it is in turn, taken a grip of the residents of Westview, she can't let the residents of Westview go without losing her family, so she makes the hard choice for her and lets the town of Westview go and goes off with the Darkhold, a magical, another magical tome that is actually sort of it's like the antithesis of the Book of Ashanti. It's just the darkest, most forbidden magics, and as the book explains, she is the Scarlet Witch, a being of unfathomable power that is even more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. So he goes to Wanda to ask her for help. Upon asking her for help, he says, well, you know, we've got the girl at Camertage. They've taken her to Camertage. And we could really use your help because these demons are coming, you know, whatever. And Wanda kind of says off the cuff, well, why don't you bring America here? She'll be safe and protected, and I can make sure that no one tries to hurt her until you can figure out who this threat is and neutralize them. And it's at that moment that Wanda then turns to Doctor Strange and says, you never gave me her name, did you? And that is the first major rug pull of this movie. Now, I'm going to take a tangent here. The marketing did not prepare you for this. Everything leading up to this point prepared you for this. But based on how WandaVision ended and how ambiguous it was, and just kind of the journey she took, you wouldn't think that she would go down this path. But Wanda is the villain in the movie. The Scarlet Witch is the main villain of the movie. While it was not entirely, it was quite jarring for me when that revelation came. Not in the sense that, oh my gosh, I did not see that coming. Because again, based on how her story started in Age of Ultron and where it went to in WandaVision, it's not really a surprise. What is a surprise is that the marketing doesn't prepare you for that. It just makes you think there's some mysterious, unknown threat throughout the multiverse. Whoever it is needs to be stopped, and Doctor Strange has to team up with his buddy Scarlet Witch to thwart the evil. No way does it prepare you that evil is the Scarlet Witch herself. Although, when you really, really look at it, that becomes very apparent in the marketing after the fact. So anyway, getting back to that. So she says, you didn't tell me your name, did you? And he says, no. And he's like, well, you bewitched those creatures. You sent them across the multiverse to try to chase her. Why? And she explains, because she wants America's power for herself, so she can use it to travel through the vast multiverse to find her children and be with Billy and Tommy somewhere on the multiverse. And Doctor Strange explains to her, but your sons, they don't exist. You created them out of nothing. But she says, yeah, I know they exist because I dream about them every night, all the time. And so as she's talking about this, the facade of this beautiful apple orchard disappears, and we're in this red, darkened, just chaotic place that Wanda, that is actually the reality of what of where we've been. So Wanda gives Doctor Strange a choice. I will come to Camertage at sundown. You can hand America over to me, and I'll leave you alone. In fact, I can send you to a part of the multiverse where you can be with Christine and you can be so happy together. Or, if you want to fight me on this, you'll have to deal with the Scarlet Witch. Because, as she explains, sending those demons after her was an act of mercy. The Scarlet Witch, she knows, is so powerful that she's definitely unstoppable. I mean, she's a force of nature in this movie. There's no stopping her from getting what she wants. So, Doctor Strange goes back to Kamar-Taj, tells Wong and America of what happened, that Wanda, the woman he tried to go to for help in stopping this multiversal threat, is the multiversal threat that they've been trying to, has been trying to capture America. So Wong tries to fortify Kamar-Taj to stand against the onslaught of the Scarlet Witch. So at sundown, Wanda comes to Kamar-Taj to take America. Doctor Strange goes to meet her in a last-ditch effort to try to get her to see reason. But she has been so far corrupted, and that's the big thing, is that all this time she has been reading from and going through the Darkhold since we left her on WandaVision. And it has very much corrupted her. She is definitely very much the Wanda that we knew, but not completely. She has been twisted by the power of the Darkhold. So Doctor Strange tries one last-ditch attempt to beseech her. She rejects him, and she's, you can't, don't try to stand in my way. So she begins her attack on Kamar-Taj, and the sorcerers do their best from all over the world. Sorcerers from all over the world gather to try to defend Kamar-Taj, and she begins her onslaught, but the defenses are fortified. So she tries to get inside the heads of the sorcerers defending the fortress, and she finds her way into the mine, one of the mines of at least one sorcerer who runs off and causes a reaction that lowers the defenses of Kamar-Taj, and so she gets in and just annihilates these people. It's a bloodbath. She's just, again, a force of nature in this film. So Doctor Strange and Wong try their best to take America away. Doctor Strange sends Wanda into a mirror dimensional trap that she triggers upon entering Kamar-Taj. And but because she's the Scarlet Witch, she can't be brought down. So she discovers that she can use the reflections of the mirrors in the mirror dimension to breach through to the to the natural dimension, and thus uses the reflections. Uses a reflection to come out in, I think, in one of many examples of Sam Raimi's Raiminess, as I'll put it. So as Wanda's coming through, she tries to get the power from America Chavez, and Doctor Strange tries to stop her, and it triggers America's ability, sending both her and Doctor Strange careening through the multiverse, where they wind up in a multiverse known as Earth 838, which is like a futuristic version of Earth. Wong is left behind to suffer the wrath of the Scarlet Witch. So Doctor Strange is like, get me back. I need to help Wong. He's totally outmatched. She's going to destroy him. Full stop. So, but I have no idea how to use this power. It just kind of happens. And because of this futuristic world, there's this one scene. It's called it's like a memory bank thing. You can experience, important memories in your life. So Doctor Strange steps on this pad, and we see one of the first dates that he's had with Christine, where, he kind of really thought of her as the love of his life. It's actually the date that she gives him the watch. And she's like, well, okay, so we kind of get more insight into his feelings about Christine through that memory. We also, when America Chavez stands on the pad, we see her, the memory of the day that she first discovered her powers. So in that memory, she's kind of like playing or making something, and her two mothers come up, and they're, we're proud of you, we love you, and there's a lot of affection and love that's shared between the three of them. And then a bee comes to sting America on her hand, and her mothers are sucked into one portal and she's sucked into another. And that's just how it all starts. So we kind of get her motivations for wanting to go through, she's alone. She doesn't know where her parents are. And also she's the only one of her kind. She's the only, out of all the people in the vast multiverse, she's the only one. She's the only America Chavez. And the reason she's the only America Chavez is because she does not dream. That was something that was stated earlier that I didn't even think of until now. Again, there's just so much going on in this movie that it's just really hard to articulate everything. So, one thing we discover then is that Wanda has been using the Darkhold to do something called dream walking. When you dream walk, you're put into a meditative state where you find another version of yourself in the multiverse, and you pass your consciousness into that version of yourself. So essentially you turn that alternate version of yourself into a puppet that you can operate and move through that other universe. But the connection is only temporary. Hence, that's why she wants America's power, so she can travel through the multiverse freely. And spend, the rest of her life in whichever universe she chooses where her sons exist. So, anyway, getting back to the thing. So, Wanda uses the Darkhold uses the power of the Darkhold to try to travel to 838 into the consciousness of herself in that universe. As she's about to go find Doctor Strange and America Chavez, she's distracted by her sons, Billy and Tommy, because they exist in this universe in 838 as well. So, during that moment of diversion, another sorcerer who survived her original onslaught comes and tries to come to Wong's aid, who is being strung up by Wanda using her magic. And this sorcerer decides to destroy the Darkhold and end Wanda's reign of terror once and for all. So she manages to successfully destroy the Darkhold, but through the destruction of the bursts of energy from the destruction of the Darkhold and Wanda's, retaliation for her trying to destroy the Darkhold, the sorcerer is then, makes the ultimate sacrifice. Wanda loses her connection with 838, with her 838 self, and because the Darkhold has been destroyed, she has no way of going back. So she approaches Wong for answers. Where's the dark? Is there what? The spells to the Darkhold. Tell them to me. Tell me. And to which his response is, "I'll never tell you anything. You can torture me as much as you want, but I'm not going to give it to you." So then she threatens to torture his injured sorcerers. Not all of them are dead. So she threatens to torture those injured sorcerers. And Wong finally relents and tells her of Mount Wundagore and the castle at the top of the mountain. In the castle are runes from which the Darkhold was transcribed. So Wanda forces Wong to take her there. Back on Earth 838, America and Doctor Strange are trying to figure out how to get home, and he believes the only one who can help them get home is the Doctor Strange from that universe. Now they have an encounter with a fellow named Pizza Papa, who is played by none other than frequent Raimi collaborator Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell makes a cameo and he's like, "Hey, you got to pay for, so America takes some pizza balls. There's little balls of pizza, and because she assumes that they're free, and he's like, "Oh, you got to pay for those." And she's like, "Oh, no, I didn't know." So Doctor Strange uses his abilities to make Pizza Papa Bruce Campbell attack himself, to which he'll say would wear off after 3 weeks, which was it was a funny little scene, weird and quirky, but very much a Sam Raimi thing. So anyway, they go to the New York Sanctum, where a statue of Strange 838 has been erected that states on a plaque that Strange gave his life to defeat Thanos. They are then approached by this universe's Mordo, who in this universe is the Sorcerer Supreme. Now he's like, I knew this day would come, that I would meet you from another universe. Tell me everything. So he brings the two of them in. They tell him their story. Wong begrudgingly takes Wanda as close to Wundagore as possible. As they get to the top, they're attacked by these creatures, but upon realizing who she is, the creatures then stop with their attack and kneel to her. It's in that moment that she doesn't just realize this is where the Darkhold was created. This is a shrine to her. It is a castle for her to rule. But she doesn't want to rule. She just wants to be with her sons. So, back on Earth 838, as Doctor Strange and America Chavez are talking to Sorcerer Supreme Mordo, they are drugged with a specialized tea, because Mordo believes that the threat is not coming from the Scarlet Witch. The threat is coming from Doctor Strange himself. So he captures him, where they both awaken in these, both America and Doctor Strange awaken in these, glass cells where they're being watched over by 838's version of Christine Palmer, a multiversal scientist who volunteered after their Strange died defeating Thanos. She doesn't quite trust him. He tries to reach out to her, implore him. She's like, I don't trust you. I don't know what our relationship was like in your universe, but I'm not yours. I'm not your Christine. So don't even try it. As he's trying to beseech her that the Scarlet Witch is coming. She has the ability to dream, she can dream walk and she will be here. She's unstoppable. Doctor Strange is taken then by Mordo to the Illuminati. Now, this is a pretty big scene. It's been heavily played up in all the marketing, and there's a big reason why this scene is so big. We get the Illuminati in the form of course, Sorcerer Supreme Mordo, Black Bolt, who is played by, and I can't think of his name right now, the same actor who played him in the Inhuman series. However, this is a different version of that character because he's wearing his comics accurate outfit. Captain Carter, Haley Atwell's character from the What If series, what if Agent Carter took the super soldier serum and became like the Captain America. So she reprises that role. Captain Marvel, instead of Carol Danvers, is her best friend Maria Rambeau. And then finally we have, unexpectedly, Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, played by none other than John Krasinski of Jack Ryan, A Quiet Place, and The Office fame. Now, interestingly enough, all those other actors, all those characters are established somewhere from previous iterations in the MCU. You've got Black Bolt from the Inhuman series. You've got Peggy Carter from, the Captain America and What If and all that. And you've got Maria Rambeau from Captain Marvel. But John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic has not been introduced anywhere in the MCU yet. The Fantastic Four movie is quite a ways away. So to have him play a character that hasn't been established yet in the MCU is a fairly interesting choice. So I wonder if that means that is John Krasinski Mr. Fantastic now? Will we see John Krasinski in the future Fantastic Four movie that's coming somewhere down the line? Who knows? That's yet to be determined. That's yet to be seen. We'll find out. Then the final member who kind of comes in, and we've seen from all the trailers, is Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier in the chair from X-Men the Animated Series from the 90s. And his entrance is perfectly accented by Danny Elfman's use of the original X-Men theme from that series, which was pretty cool. So they've decided that the threat to the universe, to the multiverse itself, is not the Scarlet Witch. She's just some kooky, crazy witch. It's Doctor Strange. And the reason is, the truth behind their Doctor Strange's death is not that he defeated Thanos, it's how he defeated Thanos. He used the Darkhold to start dream walking to another universe to find the ability to destroy Thanos. And what happens is, if there's a multiversal incursion between two universes, those universes will collide and collapse in on themselves. And the results could be catastrophic. So, after defeating Thanos, that Strange tells them, confesses, that Strange confesses, I've been dream walking, and I messed up. So he tells them to find the Book of Vishanti, use it to defeat Thanos, and then after that, you're going to have to kill me. So Black Bolt uses his, super powerful voice to kill Doctor Strange in like a puff of, dust. In a flashback that we see courtesy of Professor Xavier. Oh, I love Patrick Stewart. Just to say Patrick Stewart as Dr. Xavier in an MCU movie is pretty awesome. Anyway, I'm getting, I'm geeking out a little bit. Of course, I've been geeking out this entire time, so I guess that's okay. Anyway, so Wanda has successfully used the power of Mount Wundagore to dreamwalk back into the 838 Wanda and uses her to go to the Illuminati headquarters to try to get America Chavez. Upon her arrival, she takes down all the security, all the defenses, putting the entire Illuminati on high alert. So the heroes go to try to, make a stand against her. And again, she is a force of nature. After having taken out every sentry, which resembles the Ultron sentries from Age of Ultron, by the way, she then faces off against Black Bolt, Mr. Fantastic, Maria Rambeau, and Agent Carter. Well, Captain Carter. And after taking out Black Bolt and Mr. Fantastic in gruesome fashion, mind you. I mean, this is probably a moment where the film earns its PG-13 rating. She has a major clash with Captain Marvel and Captain Carter. The result of which ends with Captain Carter being bisected by her own shield and Captain Marvel being overpowered and crushed under the rubble of the Illuminati headquarters. Charles Xavier tries to make a last stand to defeat Wanda, but before he does that, he believes that Doctor Strange is the only one who can save them. Mordo is not ready to trust Doctor Strange because he never trusted Doctor Strange. And he's not willing, to let him go until the entire Illuminati's back. But Doctor Strange, is imploring him, it's never going to happen. She's going to rip them apart. And that girl's going to be vulnerable. You need to let me go so I can save her. So Professor X tells Doctor Strange that their Doctor Strange created a waypoint to the Book of Vishanti. So he's going to use that knowledge to try to get the book and use it to defeat Wanda. So again, as I said before, Professor X tries to make a last stand by reaching into Wanda's mind, using his telepathy to try to save that universe's mental image of Wanda from herself. But Wanda's too powerful and kills Professor X in her mind, which kills him, in the real world. Very much Nightmare on Elm Street way of it. So as Wanda tries to approach and come after America, Christine's like, I got to get her out of here. So she finally seeing the imminent danger that Wanda poses, and there's no stopping her. Everybody she's gone up against has wound up dead. She releases America Chavez, and they run through the tunnels to try to find the waypoint to the Book of Ashanti. Doctor Strange catches up with them, and as they're heading through the tunnels, Wanda tries to chase after them in yet another horrifying display. And they make their way through the waypoint using... so the door is locked by a protective spell, which can only be opened using the watch that Christine gave him. So Christine is a significant part of his life in every multiverse. So they open the door. They go into the point where the altar where the Book of Ashanti is, and they go to. They try to get the book to find a way to stop Wanda, and Wanda follows them there. She then uses... She reaches into America Chavez's mind to use her powers to send Doctor Strange and Christine into another universe. Not before using her powers to not only knock the Book of Ashanti out of Doctor Strange's possession, but also kind of burn it a little bit. I don't know if it's destroyed, but I think it's just burned. So she sends them to another universe. Then she uses America's ability to send them back to Universe 616, where Wanda is at Wundagore. At some point, Wong tries to stop Wanda from doing what she's doing, but she sends him kind of careening off the edge of the platform, off the edge of the mountain, where he's knocked, and kind of sitting on a ledge. He tries to make his way up later on. That is important. I failed to mention that before. Again, there's so much going on in this movie. It's hard for me to mention everything. So Christine and Doctor Strange find themselves in a universe that's collapsing in on itself. So they decide to go to this universe's Doctor Strange to see if they can figure out a way to get home. And the only way for that to happen is to use the Darkhold, which is in every universe. So they go to the Sanctum in that universe, where what I'm going to call Sinister Strange is waiting, is living there, lurking there, and he's not quite sure how to trust, if he should trust this Doctor Strange. But upon learning some very who are you, and giving some very personal information, we discover, he discovers he can be trusted. So, Doctor Strange discovers that this other Strange has the Darkhold. So he's like, I need to use it because I'm going to try to use it to save America and stop Wanda from getting her power. But the Strange from that universe said he tried to use the Darkhold to travel to other universes to find Christine, to be with, he tried to be with Christine, but that was never going to happen. So he decided then to travel to other universes to prevent other Doctor Stranges from suffering that fate. So he started killing off Doctor Stranges, which is again pretty dark for a Marvel film. So Doctor Strange tries to get the Darkhold from Sinister Strange, and the two of them engage in a battle which can only be described as a musical battle. They start using musical notes. They start turning musical notes from sheet music into weapons, and they throw them at each other. And this is where Danny Elfman's score really goes into overdrive, because he's just it's just clashing musical styles, and it's fantastic. Our Doctor Strange wins, gets the Darkhold, and decides to use it to daywalk into the corpse of the Defender Strange that's in 616 that they buried earlier in 616. That is where Zombie Strange comes from in the trailers. But because he's tapping into and dreamwalking into a dead version of himself, he's incurring the wrath of the spirits of the damned. So he asks Christine to stand watch and defend him should the spirits of the damned come to try to destroy him for doing such a forbidden act as taking control of a corpse. Again, pretty dark stuff. So as these demons are attacking him, Christine says, "They're demons. You're a sorcerer. Use them. They're magic. Use them." So he uses his power to gather them up and turn them into a weapon, where he then goes to Wundagore and helps Wong to try to defeat Wanda. And so they defeat the demons that are guarding Wanda. Wanda has, at this point, you've been using her magic to try to take America's power for herself. And Strange, again, tries to reason with her. It's like, why take her powers? You can use her powers, and she can just you can ask her to send you to any universe you want to be with them. And she's like, well, if I had her powers and they get sick, well, I can go to another universe. I can save them from anything if I have her power. I was like, well, what's going to happen to the mom? What's going to happen to their mom? What's going to happen to that version of Wanda? It's like, oh, they'll be loved. It's not going to matter. This is very important, will be made very important in a moment. So as everything's starting to look bleak, Wong realizes the only way to stop Wanda from getting these powers is to take them from America, which will kill her. It's the same thing that the other Doctor Strange was going to do. It's the only way. So Doctor Strange goes to America, and she's finally reached this point where she's accepting it. She's like, I get it. I know now. You got to do what you got to do. Take my power. It's fine. I understand. But Strange says, no, that's not the only way. You have to use your power. Control your power. Find it within yourself. You can do it. And he kind of gives her the hero pep talk. So she breaks free of, she breaks free of Wanda's, control. They kind of try to fight her off, and America then uses her power, finally taps into that part of herself and uses her power to stand up against Wanda, and uses it to open a portal to 838, where she sends her to that Wanda's home, to where her children of that, Billy and Tommy, encounter her and are horrified by what they see. Oh my gosh, Mom, a witch, a witch. They're terrified, purely terrified. And she's like, no, it's me. It's your mother. So that version of Wanda comes as like, stay away from them, leave them alone. She's like, no, you leave them alone. She kind of throws her to the other, to off into the room, and the boys are just cowering in fear. They kind of hide behind the banisters at the stairs. It's like, don't hurt us. And she's like, hey, I would never hurt you. I've never hurt anyone. And then she looks over and, she hears the grunting, and, she hears kind of like moaning from her other self, and looks over and is like, oh no. And the boys get up and run over to her. It's like, Mom, are you okay? Mom, are you okay? And that's in that moment that Wanda realizes what she's become. That she's become a monster. She says, I'm not like that. I'm not a monster. And then in that moment, she realizes that she has become a monster. And that's quite a powerful moment in that movie. It kind of brings her arc full circle, really. So upon this realization, she breaks down and is just, falls to her knees and just breaks down. And the other Wanda comes to her and says, grabs her by the cheek, a scene in quite a few of the trailers, and says, they will be loved. And so Wanda passes through, so that, Wanda comes through the portal and realizes what she's done and what she has to do. So she brings the castle of Wundagore down around her and says no one will ever be corrupted by the Darkhold ever again. So by destroying the castle of Wundagore, she destroys every version of the Darkhold in the multiverse. So once that's done, Wong and America use America's powers to get out of the castle as it's falling down around her. The corpse of Strange is like, everything's gonna be fine. Just, I'll be okay. You just come and find me in, whatever universe I'm in. So after the castle comes down, Doctor Strange awakens from his dream walk, and Christine and him kind of have a moment. It's like, I'll always love you. I've loved you. I'll always love you, no matter what universe. And, it's like, I know we can't be together, but just know, you mean so much to me. So, then, we come back, and we're back in our universe, 616, and America Chavez is being trained as a sorcerer at Camartage, which is also being rebuilt and reestablished, training new sorcerers. Wong is kind of like, are you okay? You just dreamwalk. You just use the Darkhold to dreamwalk, And he's like, oh, no, I'll be fine. Doctor Strange's like, oh, no, I'll be fine. And then Doctor Strange goes off to the New York Sanctum. America and him have a good moment of goodbye, and like a thanks for believing me type thing. And then we see Doctor Strange at the New York Sanctum. He rebuilds the watch, which has been broken since the accident, as kind of his way of saying, she'll always be a part of, she'll always mean something to me, and this is important to me. So it's kind of his way of moving on, and that's kind of a nice visual cue that he's moved on. However, the movie's going to keep, the movie will movie, and as he's kind of trying to walk the streets of New York like everything's going to be fine, all of a sudden he starts having this massive, like, oh no, and he comes down onto the ground, and he's like in pain, and as he brings his head up, you see now, okay, I forgot to mention, the other Doctor Strange, the sinister Doctor Strange, who used the Darkhold, developed a third eye on his forehead as part of his corruption from the Darkhold. And so at the end of this movie, at this point in the movie, the same thing happens to our Doctor Strange. Cut to credits. The first post-credit scene features Charlize Theron as a character that I'm not, as a character who approaches Doctor Strange and says, "You caused a multiversal incursion, and you're going to help me fix it." And she uses a knife thing to slash open a portal to the dark dimension from the first movie. And Doctor Strange is like, hell yeah. And the third eye on his head opens. They hop into the portal and cut to credits again. Then the final post-credit scene is of Bruce Campbell's character from earlier in the film, still beating himself up. And then finally, it stops. And we get a moment of Bruce Campbell looking directly to camera and saying, "It's over!" in the most fourth wall breaking moment in an MCU film that I thought was absolutely hilarious, just because it was delivered in only the way that Bruce Campbell could. So, that is my spoiler-filled review of the film, completely broken down for you. Wanda was my favorite part of the movie by far, even though all the stuff she does is, you know, horrifying and horrific. And she is essentially the villain of the film. She's a sympathetic villain in that her motivations are very real and very, you know, if you were in that position, what would you do? And I think that's what I find very interesting about and compelling about her character. But overall, you know, with all the cameos and everything and just all that just happening, and it happens so fast. This movie is just over 2 hours. I feel like it could have used another half hour or so just to breathe. If there was any movie that needed to be over 2 hours long, at 2.5 hours long, it was this one. So those are my thoughts on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness in its entirety. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. What did you like? What did you not like? You know, and I'm always, you know, I'll be happy to talk about it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and click that notification bell for future updates on all my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and once again, I will see you out there in the multiverse.